Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You asked for it. You got it. That's right. The same knuckleheads from the Fantasy and Friends Draft Show. We will be with you every Tuesday night moving forward with the Waiver Wire Show. No, I am not Stacey Perez. I'm Keith Fleming, joined by my good friends Erica, Kevin, and Rich. And on the other side, we're going to tell you who you should be adding to your fantasy football rosters right now. Is that supposed to be? Guys, I'm sorry.
We got there.
That's on me. In my defense, I read today this is the last day in the state of Georgia that the sun will be up at 8 p.m. until the spring. That is extremely depressing news for your boy. You're happy about that, Erica? What?
I love the winter.
Oh,
it's so hot, too hot in Texas. Like all about the winter.
Oh my God, that's a horrible take.
Thoughts and prayers.
I'm with you on the weather, but I mean, goodness gracious, like I need daylight. It's hard to play golf in the dark, Erica, in case you're not aware.
I don't go outside.
And then work gets in the way, during the rest of the year. So, but we are here to talk about waiver wire ads. Let's go around the horn real quick and say what's up to everybody. Kevin Tompkins starting stuff with Sleeper. I see you on Twitter right now. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I'm just, fighting a good fight against big establishment known as Sleeper. We had some, show related things that happened with Sleeper, but you know what? We're not going to get bogged down in that stuff. We're going to just bring you the best and brightest in for waivers in week one for all positions, even IDP. I will test my IDP skills tonight with some of these names we did talk about pre-show. So that should be a lot of fun.
So what does IDP stand for again?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Individual defensive players.
There we go.
Believe it or not. They do exist.
You had a little family time this weekend, right? We missed you on the last draft show. What kind of cheese did you have that I remember I was interested about it, and then my attention span's really short, so now I forgot what I asked you about.
Right. Yeah, it was I can't remember the name. It was something like the mouth trap. It was some cheese curds, some Wisconsin cheese curds. I'm pretty sure they were Wisconsin. I can't imagine that cheese curds would taste that good coming from anywhere else. I feel kind of weird saying that, but let's be real. If Wisconsin does one thing right, it's their cheese. So yeah, no, it was a good time. I was so sad that I missed the show, though.
Right? Isn't it weird, too, because you were hanging with your sister. My mom used to tell me all the time when me and my sister were fighting like cats and dogs that one day we would be best friends, and I would laugh and mock and scoff at her. And then sure enough, about 10 years ago, me and my sister became best friends. And I'm like, damn it. Apparently your parents do know a thing or two. Who knew? Yeah. And then my good friend Erica, are you done celebrating the Oklahoma State win on Saturday? Or is that how long do you normally celebrate a win?
Until after the weekend, and then on to the next game. So we play Arkansas on Saturday. And Boo Pickens, they're coming to Stillwater, so we'll see how they can handle that.
The battle of Erica versus Brett Flynn. Who is going to
That's
win?
right. Oh. Sorry, Brett. I don't think Darren McFadden or Traylon Burks is going to be walking through that door.
Felix Jones, Ryan Mallett, RIP.
But all right, so guys, again, Stacey will be here most week. She's in Vegas. I think right now she probably just took a shot and is thinking about making some bets. And I hope she's having a blast. Well, I mean, at this moment, just one. But
even week, that.
The four of us will be together, as well as Stacey, helping you decide who you need to add to your fantasy football teams. And unfortunately, I was told when we were going to do this show that I was not going to have to do any prep and that I would be able to just show up and do what I do on the draft show, which is just really run my mouth and try to entertain these, very brilliant people as much as I can. But because Stacy is not here, I actually have to contribute. Do you want to start with the QBs? Is that the order we want to go in?
Yeah, let's go. Let's start with
natural.
the old. Let's start with the old quarterbacks here, kids.
All right. So quarterback ads, and for me, there's basically three that really stand out. Obviously, the first one is Geno Smith. And I say obviously because contrary to a lot of the narrative that I've seen, Geno was not the issue in Seattle last year. It was not Geno Smith's fault that the Seahawks offense kind of dipped. Well, actually, it didn't kind of. It did dip from the previous year. His QBR and EPA were still top 12, despite an offensive line that protected him at the 33rd best rate among QBs. Never good when you're a QB and one of your stats, you're outside of how many teams there are in the NFL. The offensive line was just ravaged by injuries. I mean, seriously, I did not know how significant it was until you go back and look at it, because honestly, it's the Seahawks. Who cares? I'm a Falcons fan. But they had a lot of O-line injuries. I expect the O-line to be better this year. Geno proved, even last year, when given time, he's still a really good quarterback, especially pushing the ball down the field. He was 4th in deep ball accuracy, 9th in deep ball catchable rate. I think that the Seahawks offense is going to be really good. I like Metcalf. I like JSN. I like Walker. All those things should lead to a Seahawks offense that is, I think, a lot better than last year, and making Geno definitely somebody you want to have on your roster. I actually think he's somebody you can play if, say, you don't have one of those strong QBs a lot of weeks if they have tough matchups. All right, the next guy. I know it's going to, kind of taste bad, but Sam Darnold, currently 14.6% owned.
Got to eat your vegetables, right?
You do. And this shocked me. So Kirk Cousins played 8 games last year. Yet the Vikings still had the most passing yards in the NFL and the 4th most passing touchdowns. They did this with Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins, and Joshua Dobbs starting the other games. Kevin O'Connell does not get the credit, right, Rich, that other McVay disciples do for being, let's be honest, an offensive genius. If you look what they've done, he's one of the better offensive minds in football. And I feel as long as we get a relatively healthy season from Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, and then obviously TJ Hawkinson when he comes back from injury, I think Darnold is somebody that is at least worth rostering, again, especially if you do not have a really strong quarterback number 1. So the other guy is, I'm baffled at this. Justin Fields is 15% owned. And I get that this is, some people confuse fantasy with being a good quarterback in the NFL. I don't think anybody is arguing at this moment, except for Justin Fields stands, that he is one of, the top 20, 30 QBs in the NFL. But Pittsburgh traded for him for a reason. And we know this guy is a fantasy cheat code when he starts and plays games. He finished 5th in 2022 in points per game at the QB position, 9th last year. And he's now in a Arthur Smith offense, which I have my feelings about Arthur Smith as a Falcons fan. But if you look at what Marcus Mariota did just 2 years ago in an Arthur Smith offense, in just 13 games, he had a career high in rushing yards because he did a really good job of designing run plays for Mariota. He averaged almost 17 points per game as a starter. And again, Fields is definitely more talented than Mariota. And I can't ever remember a player that is going this late in drafts or this available week 1 that we know has top 10 upside potential. And it's not potential. I shouldn't even say that. He flat out can be a top 10 fantasy QB. We've seen it. We've seen what Fields does when given opportunities. He scored 20 or more points in 13 of his last 28 starts. So to me, that could potentially be a league winner. I know that right now it looks like Russell Wilson's going to be the starter. I just don't believe they would have made this deal for Fields if they didn't plan on giving him a look at some point this season. you should roster him now, because I promise you, if there's like Russell Wilson goes out, say throws 3 interceptions in Atlanta, God willing, I think that Justin Fields will be being picked up left and right. You'll hear the rumblings. So get ahead of that, especially, again, if you don't have one of those if you have one of the top QBs, I understand if you don't, you may not have the roster spot. But if you do not have one of those top 6, 7 QBs, especially if they do not run the way that Fields can, I mean, it's 3 times more valuable for a quarterback to run than it is to throw. He should be rostered everywhere. It shocks me that he's available. But those are the 3 QBs that I have. Do you guys, did I screw up not putting Drake May on there? Is there some other guys that you would have included?
I think you can make a case for May, but I still think it's slightly premature. I'm not sure about when he starts, but I do think it's going to be sooner rather than later. With your 3, I completely agree. Like Geno Smith, you got to figure that Ryan Grubb offense coming from University of Washington, where they're very 11 personnel heavy. We saw what he did with Roma Dunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. Now you add, that offense with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett's a little bit banged up, and even his availability for week 1 might be a little bit in question, but it's also JSN, and then they gutted the tight end room and left Noah Fant. So you got to admit that 11 personnel with that talent is very intriguing, and that's only going to be great for Geno Smith, who 15.3 fantasy points per game, QB 25 last year after finishing, I believe it was QB 8 2 seasons ago when he won Comeback Player of the Year. So I think you got to split the difference between Geno, but I do think he is in the top 12 conversation all season. For Darnold, look, the fact that they had Josh Dobbs, Jaron Hall, Kirk Cousins, and Nick Mullins, and we're still in the middle of the pack as far as EPA per pass attempt, is a miracle in itself. And with Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold hasn't been exactly the most fortunate in terms of offensive schemes and talent around him. So, I trust Kevin O'Connell about as much as I trust myself. That's a lot. So, there's only 2 things that I really trust in the NFL. Anybody who plays in the Mike McDaniel Miami Dolphins offense, because we know that he knows how to scheme players and get the ball to his best players, and a Kevin O'Connell offense where we know everything is going to be so condensed, so hyper-focused onto Justin Jefferson, usually 1 running back. Now we got Ty Chandler in the mix, but also just being an efficient passing game. And while Darnold may have some warts, I think that he is perfectly fine and capable of certainly putting up a career season. I'm not throwing out 30 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I'm not going to say he's going to do that, but I think he'll be totally fine moving the ball. I mean, for Justin Jefferson, everybody wants to say that, he's getting the ball thrown by Sam Darnold. Well, yeah, I got the ball thrown to him by Nick Mullins, and he was still wide receiver 3 to end the season. And then Fields, that's almost self-explanatory. We know the rushing upside. If you roster a guy like
apparently Jared Goff, not though, right? 15%. That just shocks me. Like, I have taken him in either every draft or picked him up if I immediately saw he was there, just as an insurance.
Yeah, and I think the rostership with that, I think that might be kind of a case of you only have so many roster spots where you can keep a quarterback. So I don't think that's super reflective of what he can offer you. But I do think that, look, the Steelers made Russell Wilson their only offensive captain. That buys him maybe a half extra, maybe a game and a half. So I don't know. What do you guys think, Erica? What do you think, Rich, about these 3 quarterbacks?
I love it. Sam Darnold is probably one of my favorite late round grabs. Not just because I'm a Vikings fan, but because of what I saw Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs do last year. I really do believe that just like Mr. Scampers here, believing in KOC, I do believe that he's going to get the game plan going just right for Darnold. And I think they're going to be just fine. So, no, I like him. I like all 3 of them.
And I love Justin Fields, but I can see the low roster starting just because sometimes you don't want to carry 2 QBs into your league if you're a 1 QB type of league. So I will grab 1 quarterback and leave it to the waiver. So
but a quarterback that has been 9th or better the last 2 years in points per game, like, to me, that is significant. We're not talking about somebody that could be a top. We know pretty much he will be a top 10 QB if he's given opportunity. Again, I know it's because of the rushing ability, but Fantasy points are fantasy points. Let's do the gentleman thing. Erica, you want to talk about some wide receivers?
Sure.
Boom.
The floor is yours.
Boom. Yeah. So my favorite pickup is Adam Thielen, and this is according to Sleeper. So he's only rostered right now in 44% of leagues. And last year he was the guy for the first half of the season. I had so many trades, people wanting Adam Thielen off of my team, and I just couldn't do it. Now have regrets because he had a steep decline, but he's still going to be their guy. Last year he had his first 100,000-yard season since 2018, and they got Deontay Johnson, but that's it. I mean, Thielen is still going to be, wide receiver 2 for that team, no matter what. Then I've got Darnell Mooney, who is also lower rostered on Sleeper at 33%. The Falcons believe in him. That's really my only belief is, they signed him to a 3-year deal to be the guy. And now with Rondell Moore being on IR, he actually has a spot. So he's probably going to be, the third pass catcher in that offense behind London and Pitts, if Pitts can do something this year. But I still like his opportunity in that offense. It's going to be a whole different offense. So I'm excited to see what the Falcons can do. And then I've got Demario Pop Douglas. So last year he led the team in receiving yards, sadly, with only 561. But the team only drafted Jalen Polk, and Douglas is still going to be their top receiver in that offense because the Patriots, they're going to try, but they're not going to have anyone. So that's really all they've got.
Yep.
I mean, it's well-deserved. When you have Tom Brady and the run that they do, I hope they're awful for at least a decade because, I mean, screw the Pats, right? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
I don't know, my best ball bags agree, but I can get behind it. There's good people on both sides.
Touche.
I do want to say Darnell Mooney, that is a great, in my opinion, that is a great pickup right there. I mean, I love Adam Thielen and Pop Douglas as well, but I think people really discount the fact that Cousins loves to spread the ball around. And that's, I mean, he will even force it to the point where he tried to make Jalen Reagor a thing, regardless of the fact that everybody knew that he just wasn't going to be a thing. So I really do think Darnell Mooney is going to get involved a lot. So yeah, no, that's a great one right there.
Yeah. The one guy that pops is Mooney for me. No pun intended, because Pop Douglas is a part of this trio here. But, look, right now their depth chart has Ray McLeod in the slot, and I don't think that's accurate because I do think Kyle Pitts is going to be in that slot role with Mooney and London on the outside. So showing how little they care about their wide receiver depth. Currently, they're rocking wide receivers 3 through 5. Easy for me to say. Ray McLeod, rookie Casey Washington, 6th-round pick, and career journeyman Kenny Hodge. That's 5 wide receivers. So that leads me to believe that if they're not carrying more, they have a plan for Kyle Pitts. They signed Charlie Warner in free agency as well to play the inline tight end role. He's going to be doing a lot of blocking. That's what he did in San Francisco. They also brought in Ross Dwelley, who is a career blocker as well. So they clearly have a type of tight end that they want on the line if they're going to split out Kyle Pitts. So Mooney is going to be a fixture in that offense. We know that Zach Robinson is a disciple of Sean McVay, running the most 11 personnel in the league the last 3 years. So I do believe that in this Rams light system, Mooney is going to be a regular 90% routes guy, as we've seen with guys like Cooper Kupp, guys with Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson. Those ancillary receivers outside of the Kupps and Puka Nakuas are still going to run the 90% routes. DeMarcus Robinson did it at the end of last year too. So I do like that. Thielen, I'm sure he's a nice guy. With Pop Douglas, I'm a little worried just because, I think he'll get you some points in the first few weeks. I do think eventually when Drake May does get in there that it's going to be Douglas in a secondary role with Jalen Polk, and I don't know about Javon Baker, but Kendrick Bourne has to come back sometime too. So at some point mid-season, Douglas potentially could be the third wide receiver, which I don't know if I'm super keen on rostering the third wide receiver in New England. But if Drake May is better than advertised and he's actually lifting this offense like CJ Stroud did anybody think CJ Stroud was going to do what he did last year? No. Not saying that's going to be happening for Drake May, but that is within the range.
You're on the record for saying that's going to happen with Drake May.
It could. I mean, my best ball, like I'm saying, this is not bag defending, although it is a little bit of bag defending with my best ball bags. But yeah, I kind of hope that happens a little bit.
Well, let me pump up Erica a little bit more because I also love the Darnell Mooney ad. I mean, I think people forget Kirk Cousins has had multiple top 12 wide receivers on the same team. Like that's the kind of volume that he throws and his ability, as we saw Thielen and Diggs both have top 12 seasons with him. There's this narrative with Drake London that, Justin Jefferson's the only wide receiver he's ever made hay with. That's not true. And I completely agree with Kevin. I went and watched the Falcons. They had like a scrimmage for the fans at home in the middle of August. And the first team offense, the guys that were out there on all the snaps were, no surprise, London, Pitts, Mooney, and then you saw some Bijan and Algier. And that was really it. And I think this offense is going to be very good. Hopeful the defense is better. Like the additions we made, but we're Atlanta fans. We can't ever get everything right. So, do we want to
fully agree with this? By the way, from Scampers, if we do believe in the Falcons' offense, if it will be anything like the Rams, Mooney should be more rostered. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Because
think about Demarcus Robinson last year, right, in that Rams offense. He was actually like the third option in the passing game and had several big weeks. To your point, like this is an offense that, if it eats like we think it will, there'll be plenty of people to benefit from it.
Right. And Mooney's the type of guy that can go deep. I mean, we've seen Van Jefferson. They are trying to pigeonhole that guy because he's the son of a former wide receiver, Sean Jefferson, from the Patriots and back in the 90s. Falcons also. The Van Jefferson Nepo baby didn't work out. Tutu Atwell can't ride a roller coaster. That didn't work out. But both were deep threats. Darnell Mooney we saw in his rookie season where he came from Tulane.
He was really good, yeah.
Fourth, fifth round guy, right? And yep. He kind of just stole a roster spot and pretty much made it his own and can be a deep threat. That's not a bad, and he's kind of like Lockety in a way, like early career Lockety, maybe Tyler Lockett without the
No, I like Lockety a lot better than Tyler Lockett.
Yeah. Well, like Tyler Lockett was like a pure deep threat in the first part of his career, where he's like a 16, 17 yard ADOT guy. And then he shortened up and could run the short to intermediate route as well. And we've seen that for the rest of his career. But yeah, I want to use the word Lockety anywhere I can now.
I think we definitely are going to be obligated to use that word. Sure. Kevin, let's stay with you and talk some RBs. I know that you are a zero RB guy, but when you have zero RBs and the season's starting, you have to pick up some off waivers to fill out your roster. Is that correct?
That is true. They are saying that in the streets. So while I may not draft running backs, I do pick some up on waivers here, as evidenced by Erica's boy, Mr. Rico Dowdle at 34.4%. Look, we waited for Dallas to add a running back, and they didn't. And I'm not counting Dalvin Cook, no matter how many times he tried to make me, because Dalvin Cook is more washed than my Scott Fishbowl 9 t-shirt. 16th and 53 qualified backs in yards after contact per attempt last season. I was thinking about this a little bit more. Like Rico Dowdle might be kind of the same bet last year as Alexander Madison. But the thing is, you didn't have to draft him in the 5th and 6th round. So now he has less competition. I would say the competition that Madison had for touches, but with Ty Chandler, and Dwayne McBride and those kind of dusty guys, Kene Nwangwu. I would say the competition is much less in Dallas with Zeke Elliott, with Dalvin Cook. Like those two guys make Rico Dowdle look like Jamal Charles. I'm sorry. So you're looking at a great offensive environment for Rico Dowdle. You know they're going to be throwing the ball, but also the threat of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson is only going to open stuff up for Rico Dowdle. So I really like at least taking the bet. And you didn't have to spend that much in drafts, but if for some reason he is available in your league at 35, just a shade under 35%, go get him. In terms of, Ray Davis. So Ray Davis is a guy I've been touting all offseason as a guy that I think can be kind of an arbitrage David Montgomery, as James Cook could be the Jahmyr Gibbs in that Buffalo offense. The Bills have been, of course, looking for a power complement to James Cook. They dusted off, Ty Johnson, Latavius Murray, Leonard Fournette, even after Damian Harris went down with an injury at middle of last season. So Ray Davis is a little bit older of a back. I believe he's 25 years old, but he had 950 rushing yards at 3 stops in Temple, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky. 34th in PFF's breakaway rate, 27th in yards after contact per attempt last season with the Kentucky Wildcats. I'm very much in on Ray Davis. Right now, he is behind Ty Johnson, but I don't see that lasting for very long as far as the depth chart. So, Buffalo also removed Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and we're basically replaced them with Curtis Samuel and Keon Coleman. So that could lead Buffalo to want to run the ball a lot more. We know Joe Brady did lean on, some of the running backs with James Cook and Josh Allen in the running game too. But selecting Davis in the 4th round leads me to believe they want to protect their 9-digit quarterback, 9-digit quarterback. I can't even freaking say it. $280 million quarterback. Easy for me to say any words apparently today. Protect Josh Allen, draft Ray Davis. So that's what they did. I do like that as far as Ray Davis having
goal line work too, right? Like I think he could be like Cook's not a goal line back. I'm a big James Cook guy. He's not somebody you give the ball from inside the 5. I get Josh Allen's there, but there's got to be a back, right?
Right. They were giving Latavius Murray those carries to no result whatsoever. So look, he's a better Latavius Murray, and Latavius Murray wasn't like terrible, but he wasn't great either. So much so that they did bring him back, kept Ty Johnson, got rid of Leonard Fournette, and drafted Ray Davis. So yeah, it's a good way to get on the ground floor of a guy that might have standalone value as early as this week in week 1. And then Samaje Perine. Look, a guy that had 2 yards per route run last season among running backs, 2.09 yards per route run of all backs with 100 routes. He was the best over Alvin Kamara, over Javonte Williams, over Breece Hall, all your favorite running backs. He was the top one, and 6th in targets per route run. So every, 1/4 of the time, 24% of the time when he was on the field for every 4 routes, he got at least a target. I mean, Samaje Perine caught, I think, 50 out of 53 targets that he had last season. So he's incredibly efficient. He's a great pass blocker. He's going to be the great 3rd down guy that takes away from Isaiah Pacheco. They've been looking for a replacement for Jerick McKinnon all off season. They finally at 11:59, went out and got Perine after he was released by the Broncos. So that's going to be one of those kind of silent killers for Isaiah Pacheco, where Perine can get 2-minute drill offense, long down and distance, 3rd down. He's going to make up a lot of those green zone touches as well. Look, Perine's going to take so much off of the plate of Isaiah Pacheco. That's why Isaiah Pacheco was kind of sliding a little bit in drafts, because look, the good parts of Isaiah Pacheco are gone. All the scoring opportunities, half of them are going to go to Perine just because of the opportunity. So, I mean, the fact that he's 2.1%, he's going to be rising big time. I think you got to pounce on him.
You mean a quarter, because Carson Steele is going to get like 75% of those goals.
Carson Steele is a fullback, and he might as well not exist at this point.
Okay, we'll see. The only running back that I want to mention, and I know that he's probably rostered 70+%, but to me, he should be 100. Jonathan Brooks, Carolina Panthers. Like, if he is out there, pick him up, add him to your IR. He profiles very similar to Breece Hall, who, if you remember last year, returning from a knee injury, his last 5 games had I think 130 yards per, 5 scores. There's that kind of upside with Brooks late this season, and similar to Fields, just when there's a guy out there that I think we can kind of identify this early that could end up being a league winner late. If they're out there, go grab them, no matter what. Also, just want to mention Tyler Algier for all the things we were just talking about the Atlanta Falcons. If that offense is going to be really good, I promise you, Algier will be involved. They've so much as said so, impressors and such. And I do still think he's probably going to get more like inside the 5 carries than Bijan Robinson because he's very effective at that. So, Rich, Erica, y'all got any backs or comments you want to add to Kevin's list?
You want to go first? No?
I was just going to say, Mike McCarthy's already talked about Rico Dowdle and how he's not anywhere near special teams because he is going to be their back on the field. So not even worried about it.
Which honestly leads me to believe that, like, because it's weird because Zeke won't ever play special teams, obviously, the veteran. Neither will Dalvin Cook. So the fact that it's weird that you don't have a running back that at least plays some special teams. So that's very, very bullish for a guy like Dowdle.
I think they're sticking with Jalen Tolbert, who's been their special teams guy.
Well, even like on coverage and like stuff like that, like the punt gunners, like usually get a running back somewhere in there, between that's because that's what Isaiah Pacheco was doing very, very early on in his career he was a punt gunner, along with like Justin Watson. But usually you try to find those guys, and Rico Dowdle almost like profiles as a guy that probably he probably played special teams at one point, but yeah, the fact that he's not is very bullish for his prospects going forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, the only one that I was going to touch on was just Samaje Perine and just echo the fact that I'm excited about him. I think you already hit everything that needs to be said about him, Kevin. I can't wait to see him in this offense, see what he does.
I mean, I'm looking. I can just see like 11.3 PPR points right now for tomorrow or Thursday. Like 5 catches for like 40 yards and like a 2-point conversion or something stupid like that. Like I could totally see that for Perine just because he's probably not going to run the ball very much. He shouldn't be doing that anyway. I mean, they've got Pacheco. They've got, they could probably do it with Carson Steele and get him his 0.2 PPR points this week.
0.4. Okay, asshole. All right. Get at least 4 yards.
Well, he might have a 23-yard run, but he'll fumble. There you go. So that ends up being 0.3.
What an ass.
Well, look, it's called bag defending. I got rid of my Carson Steele shares, so sorry. I don't
think that's how that works in best ball, Kevin. But hey, Kevin, you want to thank a sponsor before we move on to the tight ends?
Yeah, I'll get into the ad read game here. Our friends over at Dynasty Decks, go to thedynastydex.com. Use promo code FRAMES, $5 off of your purchase. You go on their website, you can get this lovely plaque here that displays your winning team's lineup, your team's MVP, your championship week score, everything about your fantasy championship winning team. You can go over to thedynastydex.com. They have this plaque you see here in a retro plaque, a white and a black one. I like the black one if you go on that website. Thedynastydex.com. Looks pretty clean. So go check that out. Use promo code FRAMES for $5 off your purchase. Thank you for this fantastic promo code, and go check them out today.
Tell your friends and family.
We're going to lose Kev. He's going to be like Matthew McConaughey and John Krasinski doing ad reads for all kinds of commercials on television in the near future. Appreciate that, Kevin.
Not economy.
No? All right. Rich, would you like to share some tight ends that we need to add from the waivers right now?
I absolutely would love to. And I'm going to start off with the perfect example for this for a waiver wire ad for what you're looking for. Usually in the first week, you're looking for somebody that because for some reason maybe you drafted TJ Hawkinson and now you don't have a tight end. Well, pick up his backup. He's a perfect example. Johnny Munt. He's 1% owned on Sleeper right now. And he's, I mean, it's got to be said, first and foremost, he's not going to be Hawkinson, obviously, but he's going to get you by. He's going to get you the points that you need to be able to stay competitive in your league. And the reason that I believe that is because if you look at what he did the last 2 games without Hawkinson, well, if you look at what they did in general, Oliver, what? Oh, dang it, I can't think of his first name now. Oliver wasn't used very much in the passing game, and neither was Muse. Johnny Munt was the one that they went to. He's the one that they targeted. He had 9 targets for 97 yards and 1 touchdown. He was tight end 6 and tight end 11 in week 17 and 18. So he has the ability to put up those numbers. And like we were talking about with KOC, with O'Connell, he's going to do everything that he can to get the tight end involved. If you look at what they have behind Jefferson and Addison, it starts to get really murky at who that third target's going to be. It's probably either going to be Aaron Jones or else it's going to be the tight end Johnny Munt. And I'm putting my money on Johnny Munt between the two of them. Moving on from that, Noah Fant, he's 16.2% owned in Sleeper right now. He was my favorite tight end coming out in 2019. I was walking around everyone going, Fanta, Fanta, don't you wanna Fanta, Fanta? Yeah, I know. I just wasn't. Right. Like I don't know. I loved him. He was great. He's a great receiving tight end. In his time, he's only had 1 tight end, 1 finish in PPR. But he showed that he has that ability to make the receiving catches that he needs to, and he's in a much more pass-friendly offense with Ryan Grubb now, and kind of like what Keith was talking with Keith and Kevin were talking about with Geno Smith
it better
earlier
when you
on.
Said what I was saying. Okay, don't give Kevin. I gave
this is communal. This is communal, Keith.
yeah, we're all in this together.
Okay. All right. I'm good.
But yeah, like you all were saying, like this is going to be a very pass-friendly offense, and he's going to get involved. There's not a whole lot of targets to spread around outside of him. I mean, you do have DK Metcalf, you got JSN, you got Lockett. I don't believe as much that Lockett is going to be as a part of things. So I think that Noah Fant's going to step into a bigger role this year because of that. And then moving on to my last tight end, Greg Dulcich, only 7% owned, and I really think it's because of last year was such a bad year for him. I mean, there's nothing else that can really be said about that, but I mean, last year was a bad year for everybody in Denver, so I'm not going to hold it against him. 2022, he did have 5 finishes as a tight end 1 as a rookie, and Sean Payton loves his tight ends. Like, that's something that we all know, is that Sean Payton is going to get his tight ends involved. He will be a focal point of the offense. There's not a whole lot else around him other than Sutton and Mims and Franklin. So, yeah. None of that's really inspiring.
Give the ball to Mims. Come on, Rich. We've learned that last time. They're not
right, that's what I'm saying.
Come on.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not very awe-inspiring there. So I do think Dulcich will become a much bigger part of the offense. He's coming back healthy this year. I think he's going to be ready to roll.
No, I love Noah Fant. I've been grabbing him. If I completely punt the tight end position in my drafts, I grab him with one of my very last picks. I think he's going to get the work.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
My love for Greg Dulcich knows no bounds. Like, if I'm willing to do this, if I'm willing to do that, then I mean, that's
getting you a wig, and you may have to wear it.
Right.
Every Tuesday game, right? Like every time he has a good game, that Tuesday he has to wear the wig for the show.
I'm a little disappointed right now, Kevin. We got that pick before we got the Frosted Tips pick.
Oh, you're right. Thank you, Rich. Where's our Frosted High School pick? Come on, Kev.
Week 2. We'll do that for week 2 when Stacy's here.
Okay.
But I did ask my good friend Bree Maestas over at Let's Talk Broncos if they were going to be getting Dulcich wigs. Nothing yet. So I just want to let you know
they're not really Broncos fans. I mean, that's pretty much settled if they don't.
I'm talking about at the stadium. Like, they need to be doing
you're saying giving them out like you get the T-shirts.
That or being able to buy them at the team shop or something. Like, that should be like priority one.
Like the Jared Allen mullet with the bandana with the mullet on the back. That was sweet.
Like, let me get some. Look, if we got the Dulcich hair, I would be rocking that. I would just be like Kevin from The Office when he had the toupee. I would just be wearing that to every function. You'd see me at the expo, the Dulcich hair.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, Dulcich. Yeah, I mean, Dulcich is such a great bet in terms of the archetype of tight end that you want. a guy that'll run like a 10-yard A-dot, like we saw with Mark Andrews, like we've seen with Darren Waller. Those guys are incredibly valuable, obviously, for fantasy. Dulcich just had a really bad run out after like that. The first game that he played his rookie season, I think it was like in week 7 or 8 on Monday Night Football, and he scored a touchdown. Should have had 2 touchdowns. But other than that, like it seemed like Sean Payton's hated him. But I'm not sure. We know Nathaniel Hackett loved him, and Nathaniel Hackett's not exactly the best judge of character or judge of anything for that matter. Yeah, I do like Dulcich. Certainly at this price, he feels like a guy that just everybody's forgotten about. Noah Fant, we touched on it with the Geno Smith stuff. They've gutted the entire tight end room, and it's pretty much Noah Fant and Brady Russell, and I don't even know the other tight end, but I don't even think it matters at this point for Seattle. So, and then Johnny Munt, if you're in a pinch, you need a tight end, he's going to be starting. Like, I do like him actually, like as a punt DFS option.
Oh, now you like him, huh? You shit on my take on our show 2 weeks ago, and now you like him. Is that true?
Look, this is only for the YouTube Shorts equity.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I was like, man, that hurt my feeling. Kev came at me.
I don't mind him. Like, if I'm gonna play a punt tight end, punt Munt.
Punt Munt.
I mean, come on, Monday Night Football. I put that tweet out a few times.
I have special feelings for Munt. I mean, he really did. He won me some money in DFS last year. Like, he was involved in both of my biggest paydays. So he's got obviously a soft spot in my heart. I do love this list. And I don't know, man, like tight end, to me, there just seems to be so many more capable tight ends than there was even 5 years ago. And it's kind of wild. I'm wondering, because I've sort of adapted where I typically take one of the top ones. I do think there's, obviously the target monsters and those top 5-6 guys, but I'm starting to wonder, is this another position that the real value is kind of waiting and taking a shot with, maybe 2 different guys that look like they're going to have, the main opportunity with the team that we know is going to throw a lot. So, the defensive players, Jorge, I think is normally going to be the one joining us, right, Kev? Is that the way it is? Or
yeah, I can. He'll.
I can't pronounce half of these names, so I definitely need you.
I got y'all.
To do that. Awesome.
Look at that, a little reading, a little light reading here.
There's nothing light about those first 2 names. I just want to say the first name of Latua or Latia, whatever it is, no chance.
I believe I was coached by Jorge. That's Liatu.
Okay. Makes you feel a little bit better. I am a country.
By the way, the first defensive player that was drafted in the 2024 NFL draft, by the way.
Atlanta passed on all defensive players at 8 and decided to draft a backup quarterback. I'm well aware of that, Kevin. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. Hey, anytime. That's what I'm here for. Defensive lineman Latu from UCLA, 33.3% rostered on Sleeper. One of the top-rated defensive edge rushers coming out of college, was the first defensive lineman drafted by the Colts. As we said, the first defensive player drafted by any team. The way that the Colts have rotated edge rushers in the past, there was some concern if Latu would get the right amount of snaps to be fantasy relevant, despite his proven pass rushing efficiency in college. The season-ending injury to fellow edge rusher Samson Ebukam has Jorge confident that as the season progresses, Latu should become very fantasy viable, given the increase in snaps he'll now see. Given the fact that finding someone who possesses elite pass rushing prowess on the waiver wire rarely happens, snatch up Latu before it is too late. And I will trust Jorge with my life in terms of these defensive players, because
he was his favorite pass rusher in the draft. I know that because I remember Jorge.
I do know that. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And then as linebacker, I'll drop down to Azeez Al-Shire, by the way, former San Francisco 49er, former Tennessee Titan, now Houston Texan, 39.5% roster. The only reason I know that he played for those teams is because in the one IDP league that I am in, I have had him the last 2 years, and he has been pretty good. Went to the Texans in free agency, has been automatically slotted in as their LB1 on their roster. And look, those linebackers that just gobble up tackles, it's what you want. And Jorge, we trust. Absolutely. Whether during his time
ASAP.
We do, yeah. We could use that. You just Edwards 24. 100%. We need that. Whether during his time in San Francisco or Tennessee last season, Alshire has been a very efficient tackling machine, posting a tackle rate of 14.3% in 2023, finishing 2023 using Fantasy Pros IDP scoring as the linebacker 18, averaging 13.3 fantasy points per game. Look for those numbers to climb in 2024. Definitely like that. And then Robert Spillane, the former Steeler, of course, has been with the Raiders for a couple seasons now. 20.8% rostered per Pro Football Focus. Spillane ended 2023 as the sixth best run defender among linebackers in the NFL with a run-stopping tackle rate of 18.9%, according to Fantasy Pros IDP scoring. Spillane finished as linebacker 15, averaging 13.7 points per game. He not only excels in run defense, which is a good pass rusher, with a pressure rate of 34.5%, use that efficiency to rack up 3.5 sacks, which for an inside linebacker is pretty impressive. You usually see that on the outside, if anything, but to get that as an inside linebacker, very impressive. Is a must-add, Spillane is, for linebacker depth on your roster. That is all I've got. Don't know if anybody is IDP inclined here, but questions, comments, concerns, etc.
You don't want defensive advice from me because I don't pay attention to it.
I don't even play team defense in any of my leagues.
Erica, our philosophy in DFS is literally look at the 3-4 cheapest defenses every week, and we pick which one we like the most. And that is about 99% on, including in cash or MME, the way I build lineups. So again, Jorge, those guys with the IDP show, they know what we're talking about or what they're talking about. I don't. I can't say for you guys. But anything that we missed that we want to talk about waiver wire before we get into the pageantry that is exiting the show?
I'm just looking through this. I mean, I obviously know the Ricky Pearsall stuff, very scary stuff, and glad to see he's doing a lot better. But I would say, for my opinion, I'm not touching Ricky Pearsall in any fantasy format. If you're able to kind of just put him away on the IR, or he's going to be missing at least the first 4 games. We saw Brian Robinson when he was shot 2 years ago, that it took him a half a season at minimum to get back. I believe he got back by like week 8 or week 9. So in that case, you can maybe consider Ricky Pearsall double-digit weeks. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm not really holding a candle out for him unless, if something happens to the San Francisco receiving core, if something happens to Debo or Ayuk, or even Kittle, where that kind of takes some of the target hierarchy, moves them kind of down a peg, I'd consider maybe holding Pearsall and then with the potential of starting him, but I think he would still be ramped up. I don't know what you guys think, but that's something at least that I've been thinking about.
I mean, he was already low on the pecking order.
Right.
I mean, that offense is stacked, so he probably wasn't going to get a whole lot of field time in the beginning anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a path. There's a little bit of a path for him because I know they did re-sign Juwan Jennings. I wanted to say Juwan Johnson. Juwan Jennings to, I think, a 3-year extension or a 2-year extension, but at least it's something to keep him around in San Francisco. So that was probably his biggest path.
Bell, too. There's other guys there other than just Ayuk and Samuel.
Right. And the thing is, with him, I think that was more of a thing where if Pearsall saw any time, it would be on scheme touches or something like that.
Yep.
So that would be about where I would stand on Pearsall. But yeah, to Erica's point, I mean, what was he really going to see if he was going to get on the field anyway, more than scheme touches? So.
All right. Before we get out of here, let's whore ourselves out a little bit. Ooh, what's going on, Erica? Me and you looking good. Okay, there's the rest of us. We want to be sure to remind everyone to subscribe to Fantasy and Frames YouTube channel. And if you're watching this, there's I think 154 people watching this around. Thank you very much. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter. All of our Twitter handles are right there. We'll beg if that's what you want. You just need to let
Stacey
me know.
Can't butcher my Twitter handle anymore.
That is true.
Or Riches.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, really, I just think, Stacy's got a lot of great qualities. Apparently,
Love you, Stacy, but
is not one of them, or not losing her luggage going to Vegas.
Right.
But
I even changed my handle to try to make it easy on y'all.
That is true. Yeah.
Well, she'll be able to get it now, because wasn't it always the last 3 letters she mixed up?
GMB. Yeah.
GMB instead of GBM. Yeah.
So
I think she said I think like K Thompson. She said I don't know what else she said. I should like clip all of those and like just do like one like 15-second clip of her butchering that just to do it. But
full disclosure, the K is very sneaky in your last name, and I almost always like forget about it for whatever reason. Anytime like I'm trying to look you up to send you a message or whatever, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about that stinking K, and my name starts with a K, so you would think I'd be able to figure that out.
No excuses.
We have seriously grown a lot on YouTube in the last year, basically going from 0 followers to over 1,000. Again, thank you very much. We want to double that this year, and it's worth it. I mean, there is content on here all the time. There's shows tonight for 3 hours. There's shows on Wednesday for 3 hours. We got the DFS show on. Like, there's just constant content from a lot of people that are really smart. And I'm not just saying that because I'm one of them. Seriously, this is a very smart group of individuals we have at Fantasy and Frames. I'm very proud to be a part of it. I know the rest of the guys are as well. But I know if you want more detailed waiver wire information, there is one particular person on this show who has an article, correct, coming out. You want to tell a little details there, Erica?
Yeah, so every Tuesday, I am actually writing our waiver wire article, and it goes into more depth with all of the positions, including defense for, whoever plays it. But that will be out every Tuesday morning. So that'll be before our show.
Well, you need to check that out, or you can't watch the show. That's just a rule. Moving forward, if you don't read Erica's article, just don't show up. I'm sorry. Tough love.
Those are the rules. They will be enforced.
Really great. Check it out. Rich, what you got going on?
There will be a quiz.
Yeah, that's right. Hot quiz, hot shot.
So you can catch me here, of course, on Tuesday nights now, and then you can catch me on the Dynasty show, Dynasty 365 on Wednesdays at 9 Eastern. No,
I thought you were going to
Eastern.
say catch me
Eastern.
outside for a second, but you didn't, because you kept saying you can catch me. I'm glad I was wrong about that. You'll be able to see me and Kevin Friday night, 9 p.m. Joe the Brain Mats will be with us, and we'll be getting you ready for Thank the Gods. There's finally DFS, none of this stupid best ball redraft stuff. Like, I want to win money in a 6-7 hour period. That's all I want. I don't want to have to wait months to find out if I want any money. I want it now.
Again, good people on both sides of the aisle.
That's fair. I'm just saying. Come hang out with us. I think we could convince you that DFS is a fun place to hang out. Really excited because we're going to be doing MME stuff, which typically me and Joe have not done. We've always been cash games. We'll explain that. I still think that is the smarter avenue if you're trying to win money in DFS, but obviously, I mean, when you can win like $1 million in these MMEs, I understand why people want to take their shot. So we're going to try to build some really good lineups for myself, Kevin, and Joe. We're super excited about that. And again, there's just so much good stuff on Fantasy. You should not only subscribe, turn on that alert, and then that way you will see anytime we go live. There will be tons of content coming out, and I think we reached to the end. Stacy's going to be so proud. We got like 5 minutes to spare. How about that?
We did.
Well, here, let me just read the alphabet here.
Yes.
All right, I'm out.
We should start reading portions of novels at the end of the shows just to see if anybody is actually listening all the way to the end. And then we can give them a pop quiz the next week and see, did you actually stay for the homework assignment at the end?
Yes,
so
yes, famously great for audience retention.
That's what I mean. Everybody loves to read. Come on, especially to have somebody read to you. I'm so excited to be doing this. We had an absolute blast doing the draft show, and I think we were all kind of sad when we realized, oh, wait a minute, there's no more real drafts to do. So now we're going to do waiver wires. We're just rebranding, folks. You're never going to get rid of us on the Fantasy and Frames. It's going to be the 5 of us. Just throw Stacy in there as well.
I mean, do we even need Stacy? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
We did great tonight.
Oh, it's fun. We got all the Twitter handles right. We're going to do the music at the beginning and the end. No, I'm kidding. Stacy, we love you. She's drunk anyway. She probably won't listen to this. She said they lost her luggage.
You were saying there's no drafts. There is the underdog best ball resurrection in like week 5 or 6.
They call it the resurrection. I did not know that.
If your teams already suck, let's draft some more. They run them till like week 10, and then there's like a new contest.
So is it when you say, so it's just for like the last 8 weeks?
Yeah. They started at like week 9 or week 10, and that just goes to the end of the season.
Well, that sounds like we'll be doing a draft show in about 5-6 weeks.
The ADP is going to be. It's going to get weird. Very weird.
Oh,
let's get weird.
Anything any of you guys want to say before we get out of here?
I got nothing.
Come back next week.
Please come back. Yeah.
We'll come back on Friday for the DFS.
Oh,
the Daily Fix.
Thanks a lot, Erica and Rick. Appreciate that.
Other than that, I'm good.
Stacy, do us a favor. Give us an update. Let us know how you're doing. And we'll see you guys soon.